What's up, guys? It's the Blind Man back with another game review, and today we're going to be doing MLB the Show 24. This is during the early access period. I paid for this out of pocket. I wasn't sent this. Full disclosure, any of the opinions are my own, not being paid to do this review. I also, full disclosure, played this game a lot last year in 23. So what we'll be doing is going over the differences as we go through this, and at the end we'll go over whether or not it's right for you to buy. The dumbest thing in the world that there was any controversy at all about this, because this just seems like a great move in my opinion and a great feature to add. But some people were upset that now in Road to the Show, which if you don't know is a first person, you get to create your own ball player and you get to work your way up through the minors and eventually get to the majors, you can now create a female character. Now, I am a girl dad, and so for me, this is great because I love it when I can actually show my daughter, hey, I can create your character into the game. And I can make a character that's just like you, and I can see if you like it, and she'll play it, and she'll see if she likes baseball or not. It's something we could do together, bonding. But a lot of guys did not like that because they felt like, well, girls should not be playing baseball with the guys, it's not realistic, blah blah blah. Personally, I think that's crazy. It's a video game, we play it for fun, and honestly, I think everyone should be able to enjoy it, and everybody should be able to dream that they're going to get to play their way up to the big leagues. So personally, I don't even care about the controversy, and if you are somebody who is, angry about that, just don't bother watching the video, just go ahead and drop now, because honestly that's something I'm for, and I hope more games pick this up. Now that we got that out of the way, we'll talk about what the mode actually is, and really it's pretty similar other than being able to create a female ball player. As you see here, there's a lot of text and not a lot of voice acting, really no voice acting in this mode, and it mentions two different stories, but really the two different stories are not... There's differences in them, there's a lot of cool moments in it, but at the same point in time, they're not so vastly different that it feels like you're playing two completely different story modes. I tried both sides of it. They're really pretty similar. The only thing different between the two is obviously you're breaking some barriers with women here, and so that's mentioned a lot, which is really cool and really good to bring up. But really, that's the only differences in the story from what I can tell at where I'm at in the game. Now, to be completely honest, I didn't play all the way through Road to the Show. Haven't even made it to the big leagues yet, so this is kind of an early on look at what it is. And as you can also see, there's also some clips too of the actual MLB network and people talking, and that's where you actually get your only real voice to the show. Jump into the draft combine, which as it says here is a 4-day event, which really it's just batting practice, then some fielding, and then some actual gameplay. And to be completely honest, if you played Road to the Show in the past few years, I don't think anything is going to completely blow your mind. It's really pretty close to the same Road to the Show that you've grown up with, that you know and love. Now, for those of you who have never played an MLB game, honestly, this mode is great. I've always loved this mode, and when I was trying it out, doing this review, I lost a lot of time into it, just enjoying playing first person as a baseball player. It's something I've always enjoyed, but really, from year to year perspective, in terms of like gameplay mechanics, I don't think a whole lot's changed here, so it's up to you on if that's worth it to you. I mentioned that there's not a ton of difference between the two stories, but one of the things you do see here is there's actually two women who are going to get drafted into the majors. And this is pretty early on, so it's not a spoiler, but it's really cool that you do get to see the groundbreaking moment of a woman getting drafted. Next we have storylines. Personally, I love this mode. The history is great, and if you're not sure what this mode is, it's like showcase modes and other sports games. A lot of history. You get to play through really key important moments. They added on from last year, which last year's storyline segment was great, and there's a part 2 now to it, as well as adding in some Derek Jeter's story for those of you who are Yankees fans and want to play through Derek Jeter's key moments. Honestly, I've really enjoyed this mode. This is another one of those ones that was kind of hard to put down when I started it, and I'm definitely, after this review, I'm going to go back and finish everyone's story. But just even the first stories, I can already tell that the history is so good. They do such a good job of narrating and presenting it. This is one of the reasons I would say definitely to buy the game, is if something like this interests you, because really this interested me and it was better than I expected. Here's a quick look at one of the moments. Honestly, I love the old style presentation. I love the way the ballparks look. I think honestly they put a lot of care into this, and I really do love this mode because of things like that. In the Derek Jeter storyline, you also have some more just really cool presentation in my opinion. You actually do get to hear from Derek Jeter himself, which is also really cool, especially for those of you who are Yankee fans, but honestly I imagine everybody in baseball at least respects Derek Jeter, and it's cool to hear from a legend like him a lot about what happened in his first days and just throughout his career in general. And it's cool to see the presentation go back and show what it looked like back when he first started in 95, kind of made it look retro like that. And I hate saying retro because 95 doesn't feel that old to me, but that's because I'm older than a lot of you probably watching this. You can definitely see some differences between the two storyline modes. This one definitely looks a lot more 90s, but it's still really just cool to see, and they do a lot in New York with it, and honestly, just the presentation in general, I'm really impressed with how they did it. And just looking at things like this, it's just really cool to see. On to gameplay, this is really where I felt the smallest amount of change, but they made a few tweaks for the better. You can kind of see some different animations, like how the fielder stops and throws, but really the animations were already good, the gameplay was already good. It's kind of more of the same from last year, but I still really love the gameplay, it just hasn't changed a ton. Next up we have Franchise, which to me is actually one of my least played modes. That doesn't mean it's bad though. It does seem to have a lot of features in it when I was going through it. It's kind of more simulation geared, where you can go through and you can do some really detailed things with your club. You can make signing, trade, prospect, scouting, things like that. You can do all of that stuff, a ton of statistics. But really, when looking at changes from year over year, from the people that I've heard that play the mode, one of the cool things that they liked is that you can now actually go ahead and enter manual stats into a game, which for a lot of people I've heard that's a big quality of life improvement over last year. So Franchise, if that's something that's your thing and this is a quality of life improvement for you, it might be worth considering. March to October makes a return, and for those that are not familiar, this is basically an abbreviated season, and you can go through and play all the key moments of the season. Instead of having to play 162 games and the playoffs, you get to play key moments, and it kind of simulates the in-between. And it's, as you can see here, they show some videos beforehand, give an idea about the division. Certain teams are harder than others. I picked the Royals, which are one of the harder teams because they're projected to do the worst. But you can go through and you can do a few of the things that you do in Franchise, but it's based on really the one season. And it's kind of nice because a lot of people don't want to play through a whole year, but it's not quite as in-depth as other modes like Franchise, where you have to get fully into the statistics, and it jumps you into games at like the end of the game. So that's actually, it's a pretty cool shortened game mode, but really I don't think a lot changed this year in March to October. I could be wrong. I haven't seen a lot that changed. But if you haven't played MLB the Show before, this is one that might be interesting to a lot of people who just want to play a season and play with their favorite team and get through a season quickly. I think this is good for that. Here's what I mentioned about how key moments affect your season and winning and losing. It put me as cold because I lost, which is actually going to affect what my win-loss projection here is for the season and trying to make the playoffs. So really you want to try to win as much as you can and get hot. As you can see here right now, I'm not projected to make the playoffs just after the one game, so I gotta step it up. Last but not least, we have Diamond Dynasty, which for me is the mode that I play the most. And if you've been watching my channel in the past, you've seen I do a lot of Ultimate Team game modes, and that's what this is. Now I'm running through the menus really fast on this one, and the reason why I'm running through the menus really quickly is because I want to show that really not a lot has changed in terms of the layout, the modes, anything like that. Really the only difference is that now The seasons are a little shorter in terms of team affinity, or I should say chapters, because they're in chapters now, but really not a whole lot's changed in Diamond Dynasty. And one thing I did mention was menus, and actually that's a good point to bring up, is the menus are a lot different now. The menus with those bright white screens, that's one of my few complaints in the game, is that the menus are so bright. I really just wish there was a way to set it to dark mode. I get what they're doing. It looks really good usually. It just kind of hurts my eyes personally, and that's coming from somebody who puts everything on dark mode, so maybe it's just me. But the menu, it looks pretty, but it hurts my eyes, so I wish they would make a dark mode version of it. But in terms of Diamond Dynasty, it's really pretty much the same as previous years. Not too much has changed. Seasons are back, and that's something that some people like and some people don't. I personally didn't mind them, but I'm coming from another game mode in NBA 2K, or I should say another game in NBA 2K, where that's what they did with seasons as well, and so does Madden. Really didn't bother me. And honestly, this is still the most generous game in terms of Ultimate Team and being able to actually grind what you want to get. You can spend money to make it faster, but you don't have to. And there's been a lot of talk about other games, you know, being gambling and promoting gambling. This one I don't feel like it does as much, or at least it doesn't hit you in the face as much for it. So if you like card collecting game modes, to me, this is the best one out there right now. And honestly, I still really enjoy it. The question I always try to answer with these reviews is this something you should buy? Well, the answer to that isn't so simple on this game because it depends on a lot of different variables. The first one was, did you play last year's game? If so, there are different pieces of this game that I think are worth upgrading for, but not all of the modes. If you did March to October, I don't think I would upgrade it unless you want a roster update. Same with franchise, really. If you are a woman and you've always wanted to see yourself in the game, absolutely I think Road to the Show is a great upgrade for you. If you play Diamond Dynasty, honestly, you play 23 Diamond Dynasty, all your cards are maxed out, everybody's moving on to the new one. Absolutely you should buy the new one. If you like the storylines, definitely buy for the storylines. If you've skipped a year, I also would say buy, because the way this game goes is it makes incremental improvements every year. They keep applying polish to the same gameplay that honestly works really well, and if you're taking a year off and you come back, you're going to notice the polish more and more the longer you are away from the game. So I definitely would advise you picking it up if it's been a while. But that's the review. That's my feelings on it. Honestly, I can't wait to get back to playing it. Sometimes after reviews, I don't feel that way. Sometimes I'm just glad to be done with it. Let me know in the comments if this is a game that you are picking up. And if you did like this review, please like, comment, and subscribe because it helps out the channel a ton. And let me know what you think of these reviews because, to be completely honest, this is only the second one I've done. Still plan on doing a lot more, but I hope you like it. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun doing this one. I'm going to get back to it. Thank you for watching. Peace.